Earlier today, human remains were discovered, consistent with the description of Gabrielle "Gabby" Petito.
Now at 10, a body found in Wyoming's Grand Teton National Forest. Very likely 22-year-old Gabby Petito. Tonight, what we know about how those remains were found, even as the whereabouts of her fiancé remain a mystery. But tonight, one woman says she gave Brian Laundrie a ride days after Gabby's disappearance.
He got out, and he was thankful, and he was kind of in a hurry. He said he was going to go across the street into the parking lot and find someone else to give him a ride.
That ABC exclusive. That witness says she picked up Laundrie as he was hitchhiking. What Brian Laundrie told that driver about Gabby during that car ride.
Live, we're there for you. ABC 4 News at 10 starts now.
And good evening. It's great to have you with us on this Sunday night. I'm Nick McGurk. Well, we do, of course, start with that big breaking news story. Tonight, the world's attention focused more sharply on the search for Brian Laundrie. He's the fiancé of Gabby Petito. Petito's remains, authorities say, likely found today in Grand Teton National Park. Now, the FBI speaking on the search and discovery from Wyoming late this afternoon. ABC4's Jordan Burroughs was able to listen to that news conference. Live now with the latest information. Hi, Jordan.
Hey, Nick. According to FBI spokesman Charles Jones, the body was discovered in a remote area of the Bridger Teton National Forest near the Spread Creek Dispersed Campground. That's where law enforcement officials had directed their search. Jones said, quote, earlier today, human remains were discovered consistent with the description of Gabrielle "Gabby" Petito.
U.S. Park Rangers and search and rescue teams are among the several agencies investigating the disappearance of 22-year-old Gabby Petito.
As every parent can imagine, this is an incredibly difficult time for the family and friends. Our thoughts and prayers are with them.
The unimaginable, as FBI spokesperson Charles Jones confirms the bodily remains found in the vicinity of the Spread Creek Dispersed Camping area match the description of Petito. Shortly after the 4-minute press conference, her father posted on social media saying, quote, hashtag Gabby Petito, she touched the world. Gabby Petito's social media was plastered with her trips all across the country, much of it in her white van. It was that van that her fiancé Brian Laundrie took back home to Florida on September 1st without her. The Petito family reported their daughter missing September 11th. A woman named Miranda Baker says on August 29th, she ended up giving Brian a ride somewhere while in the Grand Teton National Park around the time he would have been heading back to Florida. Police have confirmed this.
He got out, and he was thankful, and he was kind of in a hurry. So he said he was going to go across the street into the parking lot and find someone else to give him a ride. But when we looked back, 10 or 15 seconds after he got out of the vehicle, he was gone.
FBI personnel and multiple agencies remain in the Grand Tetons to continue their investigations.
We appreciate the tremendous support from the public. The support from the public's response to request of tips has been remarkable. We continue to seek information from anyone who utilized the Spread Creek Dispersed Camping Area between the dates of August 27th and August 30th.
And Nick, the FBI says where those remains were found by those agents who spent the last 2 days searching those campgrounds. At the start of the show, you're talking about Brian Laundrie, obviously the fiance. We know that he was named a person of interest in the disappearance last week, and of course we know that he vanished on Friday night.
Well, so many questions about him. I mean, he got back to Florida on September 1st, right? What's the timeline there? What do we know about Brian Laundrie?
Sure, and I think this case even more interesting now that we know that those remains probably were Gabby Petito's. We know today wrapped up day number 2 of searching for Laundrie. We also know Petito's family has been very, very vocal about this case. They say Brian is not missing. They want people to know they feel like he is, quote, hiding from police. And of course, police say they have no other leads at the moment on Brian's whereabouts besides the family's belief that Laundrie headed into Carlton Reserve, which is about an hour away from where the family lives. Again, Carlton Reserve, it's huge, Nick, 25,000 acres. Police have pretty much deployed a bunch of resources, 4-wheelers, canines in these search efforts. I'm sure in the coming days we'll learn more and more, not just about Gabby Petito, but also about the fiance and Brian Laundrie.
Well, what is so striking about this is all the social media posts, all the videos, you see in such sharp relief who these people were, and it's just, it's heartbreaking.
Yeah, we've seen response all over the country, all over the world, and like you said, national story, and I'm sure we'll be on it, for the days to come too, Nick.
Absolutely. Okay, Jordan Burroughs, thank you for your report. We know that Gabby Petito's father has taken to social media, Petito's family issuing this statement saying they're grieving and thanking law enforcement for their efforts. Gabby Petito's father obviously taking to social media, like I said, to pay his tribute to his daughter. Caption reads, quote, hashtag Gabby Petito, she touched the world. We're going to go now to ABC4's senior crime and justice correspondent Marcos Ortiz. Obviously, he's been a reporter for decades. Marcos on the way to Grand Teton National Park right now. He's joining us by phone. Marcos, we have a lot of questions about some of the details in this case, but you know so much, having covered cold cases and missing persons. Can you just walk us through what's likely happening behind the scenes right now in terms of law enforcement?
Well, Nick, I think what caused my attention from authorities is the idea of human remains. Just what does that mean? And the fact that they were able to do a quick identification of her, that was kind of interesting to me as well, too. How were they able to identify her so quickly? And, was it a facial recognition perhaps, or was there like a wallet or some kind of form of identification? And I think that's going to be some of the questions in the coming hours, or actually tomorrow, the next couple of days, that authorities are going to perhaps see if they can come up with answers. No doubt that they'll have so many experts that do forensics, that do this type of analyzation as well, too. Specialists from all over the place with the FBI, will be at that scene and be looking at the entire scene to see what they can put together to find out whether or not there is an evidence of a crime, or does this look more like an accident, or what? So that's what I'm anticipating here.
Well, Marcos, yeah, there's so many videos online. They documented their trip. There's a YouTube channel where they saw this video and some of their B-roll and some of their footage of this van on the side of the road there, Grand Teton. And you just wonder, is there anything that law enforcement can keep under wraps, or is this sort of all out in the open? I mean, what do they know that we don't? Are there cell phone pings, social media posts that they have more access to, or data than we do? I just sort of am curious, again, what's sort of happening behind the scenes that even the most inquiring minds might not know about?
Oh, Nick, we're on the outside looking in. When you're dealing with the FBI, it is tight-knit. They're not going to release anything until they want to. There's no way that that the public knows more than the FBI. They know the pings. They know the credit card receipts. They know the surveillance video. They have a lot of information. They're building this case as we speak right now. They have a lot of paperwork that they're probably having. And the most important thing here, Nick, is the body. They have found the body, and that's going to give them a whole new chapter in terms of this investigation. As I mentioned before, is this an accident, or is this a crime? If it's a crime, that opens up a whole lot of new doors for the FBI in terms of being able to pursue their suspect.
And obviously, we know what we know. You don't have a crystal ball. Is there any sense of what this could be, a crime, an accident? I mean, is there anything telling about how quickly they identified the body that says anything to you with your experience? I don't want to speculate here, but I'm just wondering, again, what strikes you based on what we learned today? Well,
there's just so many red flags with Brian Laundrie, and he's innocent until proven guilty. We have to remember that. We need to know what he knows, and I think that once authorities are able to piece together the scene over there in the Grand Teton National Park, from that point on, they have more evidence. They can confront Brian a little bit more, but keep in mind, they got to find him as well too.
Absolutely. Okay, Marcos Ortiz, we are so grateful for your experience, your insight, your perspective, and we will check in again with you tomorrow on ABC4. Safe travels. As we continue to follow the developments in this case, folks, you can stick with us here at ABC4 News for continuing coverage on the search, obviously, for Gabby Petito. They say they do believe they found her remains, and then Brian Laundrie. We're going to bring you updates on air and online at abc4.com. Okay, let's switch gears, talk about the weather here, taking a live look there downtown Salt Lake City. Kind of a gorgeous night, but a windy day. Certainly meteorologist Cesar Cornejo is going to tell us, will this wind continue, Caesar?
Well, Nick, we're actually starting to see that winds are slowly dying down, but what we do have in place of it is going to be fall-like temperatures. So one area that was already looking like fall for us in northern Utah was Peters Sinks. Scott Taylor sent this one in. Beautiful oranges and reds already going around. One of the coldest areas in the entire United States already showing signs of fall, and we'll see that even though today's high temperatures were around the 80s for quite a few of us, we're well into the 50s now around northern Utah, here in Salt Lake City at 57, 45 in Logan, and we continue to cool even in southern Utah. But what about the school day tomorrow? Well, we're expecting to see a chilly morning, cooler lunch by the time we get towards that lunchtime hour, and it'll be a little bit more comfortable in the 60s by the time dismissal comes around. But I'll have more on what we can expect to see throughout the rest of the work week coming up in Utah's most accurate forecast. Over to you, Nick.
Okay, thank you, Caesar. Well, coming up in this broadcast, a little bit lighter story for you. Craig Worth takes us back to a time when you got all dressed up for a trip to the grocery store, and a box of Wheaties cost you about a dime. Shopping was different back then, and in tonight's Worth Watching, Craig explains some of the big changes along the way.